Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Is this what happens when women are not? It's like empty?
Empty.
Oh, empty.
Wow. Very quiet, empty. There's no life.
No joy. Right?
No. No hugs. No hugs.
Love.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
A day without a woman.
A day without a
Pretty.
yeah.
Yep. No laughter.
No. Giggling. Giggles.
Yeah. Plenty of empty chairs.
Right. Right.
No food.
No food.
No economy. No
Ah,
work.
no work. No clean clothes. No clothes.
No clothes. Yep. No education.
Ah, no no education.
Yep.
Mm,
Yeah, the life wouldn't go around if we didn't have women.
no. No.
Yep.
It would be the end of life as we know it. And we wouldn't
It
know
would
it because we wouldn't be here without a woman.
exactly. So women are really important, right?
Yes. And I find that very interesting that in many cultures, we are not seen as important or valuable. We are not seen as anything but a second class citizen. We are not seen or heard. Or and if we are told that we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not enough.
Yeah. And not being enough just makes you want to shrivel up and die.
Right. And then I think there's also that question, constantly asking, am I a good woman?
Hmm.
And what makes a good woman? What makes a woman?
Yep.
If you identify as yourself, self-identify as a woman, what qualifies, how do we qualify ourselves for being a woman?
Hmm. That's a hard question because what makes us different? What makes women different from men, apart from our physical body gender? And there's a lot different, and I think there are differences between men and women, and I tend to want to embrace it because I'm not ashamed of being a woman, and the strengths I have within myself make me a woman. And part of being a woman means that apart from my physical body, sometimes my physical strength may not be as strong as a man. Mind you, I'm fairly strong physically. Um, Mentally and intellectually, I'm an equal. But there are things that, I believe that women have a intuitive side to themselves. They're more in touch with their emotions and feelings. Now, of course, people are going to say, well, that's being sexist. Now, if I look at the research, if I look at the linguists, I don't feel that being equal means that we have to be the same.
Right. And I think that's one of the things is, and it's interesting because for when I was younger, for many, many years, when they started making fill out forms and put your gender down, I always put down female. But inside me, or most of the time, I didn't want to be identified with either male or female. Because I do carry both. And I happen to have been born in a body that is the same, is my, I identify now as a female after going through many years of realizing that I claimed my feminine side back. But femininity, again, is not about making other sexes wrong. It's just saying that we all are human, and we all have, and women, we're all unique and have our own stuff that we need to deal with, and so I think one of the things is looking at what makes, when I identify as female, what is it that what am I expressing? And then I realize it's that, we talk about like the sun and the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And the sun and the moon have different energies, fire, hot, and then there's a quiet, a gentle, it's the yin and yang. And you need both of those. And I think one of the things is we as a culture, we have taken those roles, the roles of man and woman, and making that what a good man and a good woman is. But we need to look back at inside, how do we express whatever it is? And and sometimes it's hard to explain, but I know that it took me a long time to reclaim my femininity because it didn't feel safe to be a woman.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's yeah. And I think, I still sometimes when I walk into a room full of men, I get into like super, because I'm not sure I'm going to be attacked again or not. And yet I notice when men walk into a room full of women, they don't have a fear of being attacked or so there's this constant thing as being seen as a woman so it did feel safe. Now I feel safe being a woman. So now how do I go out into the world and say, yeah, I'm a woman, and I still can do carpentry, and I still can do, and no, I'm not a domestic goddess. I'm a mad scientist in the kitchen, and I'm still a woman.
Yep.
I didn't have children. I'm still a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a spousal unit. I'm still a woman. And I think, and for me, it's always that feeling of, you're seeing me as a woman and you're judging me in this culture as less than because I'm not a man.
Yeah. Yeah, and we were talking a little bit before we came on air, and what about being less than, and that women are still not being paid the same as men are, and we're talking about the service industry, industries that receive tips for women. And I know I worked as a hairdresser for many years, and I worked alongside with men and women. And my first realization of how unfair it was were that colleagues would get bigger tips than I would, simply because they were guys. And the reason I know it was for this reason is that sometimes when these guys were away on vacation, or we would take their clients, we would do these clients' hair, and they would tell us, you do my hair a lot better than so and so did, but I wouldn't get the same amount of tip. And we're asking, one lady, why are you tipping him more than we are? She says, but he's a guy and he makes me feel special like a woman. And I was like, seriously, this is why you're tipping him, right? Guy, you're giving him a bigger tip because he did your hair not as well, but just because he made you feel nicer. I was really upset. So, there's this discrepancy. So this was in one area, but there are many women working in many different fields, even in CEOs today, where they're not paid even the same as their male counterparts. And this is really that you'd think today, where more women are entering universities and college and the workforce, that they could have the same equalities as a male, and they still aren't. So I really think that today, being National Women's Day, which was originally called the International Working Women's Day, that areas that are focusing on a day without women and how would that feel. I know where I'm living at this moment, there are many schools that closed because the teachers were not going to participate, we're not going to go to work today. And so many of the people were upset, scrambling to find how do I find daycare for my kids? So yeah, it made people angry and it made them upset. But I think it helps to also understand that if you didn't have these teachers there, your kids wouldn't be able to go to school, then you wouldn't be able to go to work. And so if you can't give a living, decent wage to your teachers, that women, you know, that are taking care of your children's education, why can't you give them a wage that reflects how important they are to your kids?
Right. And I think one of the things is, they just, with teachers, that started as a woman only profession. And when it started, teachers in public schools and in schools, they also could not be married. They had to be single women teaching. Okay. I don't know who made up that rule, but that it was. And so it started at a very low wage to begin with. Anything that was originally started by women or deemed a woman's job, they would always start at a lower wage than everybody else. The thing is, now we have men and then we have male nurses, but you think about it, it was always, we were in these, servant kind of roles, right? And yes, we eventually got to be CEOs, but we're still not seeing the equality, and here's the thing. They're women, back to women in who make let's say waittresses. Most waitresses are paid as minimum wage in that, because they deem it that it's a tip service kind of work, get a base pay of $275 an hour. And then they have to rely on their tips to make a living wage. Okay. So now they have to deal with all kinds of harassment and violence because they need to make money to take care of their children and send, so my question is, why you can't bring that up? Why can't you raise that? Why can't we have a basic living wage for people in this country, for women in this country? Why do we have to always, you decide how much you're going to pay a woman and you decide? It's like going to the dry cleaners. If it's a dry cleaning shirt, right? And the buttons it looks like a female shirt, they're going to charge more than with a guy. If you go into a hairdresser, most of the time, and it's changing a little bit, but not. If you go into a hairdresser, if they see you're a woman, they're going to charge you more than a guy. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking there's a barbershop near me. I might go over and see how much they would charge it, because I don't want that shampoo and the blowout. I just want someone to cut my dang hair, right? But here's the thing again.
Yeah.
It's like you're treating me different because I have a vagina and I got breast.
Yeah.
Equal. Doesn't mean we're the same. Doesn't mean we have to, right? But it means that we get treated with respect, dignity, and there was another one and it just slipped my head. So those are the questions, so the next time you go out and you see that waitress tipping you, or serving you, realize that she's working hard she works hard for a living. All women working moms work hard for a living. Stay-at-home moms work hard for a living.
Yep. Yeah, and the thing is that, people have this notion that if you're a mom and you're staying at home, you're not working. Heck, let me say, these women are working really hard. And so part of the notion of A Day Without Women where it was to inspire women to not go into work or not work. And some of the posts I saw were, well, I'm a farmer and I can't not take care of my animals. Farming is like having babies. It's a 24/7 job, forever job. And so I think part of why this movement of A Day Without Women isn't to tell people don't necessarily go to work, but at least become aware, be conscious of the environment around you, and notice that many of the women where you live may not be treated as fairly as their male counterparts, may not be as appreciated, may not be valued, may have their boundaries violated just because they're women. And so I think we need to understand that without women, we would lose so much. And there's women doctors, there's women scientists, there's women engineers, there's women farmers. Women are in all industries. And I think if we appreciated the idea and the fact that we could, be everywhere in any industry that we want to be, and not in industries that we were deemed it for women, that would help make the world a better place for all of us, including our daughters that are growing up, or granddaughters that may aspire to be something that is not there. And I'm thinking of the movie that I recently saw, Hidden Figures. Saw it, but that was really a great movie showing, an example. They didn't have bathrooms for Black women section of where this engineer was doing her research, and she had to walk in order to go to the bathroom. And it was like, this is utterly ridiculous. And so even though they don't have colored bathrooms, there are places where women's bathroom are not available in certain places, especially in big buildings where, well, maybe, hopefully not so much today, but there was a point where Sheryl Sandberg was talking. She went to work, I think it was, I can't remember, it was at Google, I believe, or another corporation, and they didn't have bathrooms for women. Had a women as a CEO in the offices, and it was like, this is insane to think that we have such a male-dominated industry world still, that we need to have days like today in order to awareness on the inequality that is still existing.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is, you know, uh, when we think about like hidden figures, and women are still trying to be seen as to be seen and heard. I think one of the things that comes up for me is this whole thing about dismantling Planned Parenthood and criminalizing abortions and making it, again, it's a bunch of mostly men, white men, deciding how I take care of my body,
Yeah.
telling me what is right and what is wrong. And to me, that as a woman, I get so enraged by that, because underlying of it is that a man doesn't think that I am capable on my own to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Right? And let's go to something else, like heart attacks. Most of the descriptions that when we see someone have a heart attack and how to deal with a heart attack is based on male's anatomy. Most of the stuff that we deal with with our doctor, I mean, it's slowly changing, but with our doctors and everything, it's based on male anatomy.
Yeah.
Female anatomy is different, and how we react to a heart attack is very different than how it shows up in a man. So most of the time, it's not this like, oh, in a woman, it feels very different. And you feel hotter than you've ever felt hot. You feel like you're going to throw up the more you ever thought. It's this whole, there is a pain, and it's sometimes not in it's sometimes in our arm, sometimes in the back of our body. And yet you have to really, no one really, because still, if you look at most things talking about heart attacks, they'll say, oh, it's in the arm hurts, or no. And yet that's something we still have to deal with, is that somehow, and so we need to have like, and I always said this, if I go to a doctor, I don't want to have to go to a gynecologist separately. The doctor and everybody I should be able to have, right, the same thing, because
Yep.
we keep separating, we keep making it that, oh, we need special needs. Well, we do. We're a woman, but we need to have this equality to take care of myself. So if a man wants to get Viagra, there's no reason for him to he can get as much, they'll pay for the Viagra because they deemed it as a health issue, because he can't get an erection. So but if I want birth control, they make it sound like, so everything is put on us, yet they're not giving any us help. And most of the families in this country right now are single mothers raising the kids alone. And you keep talking about that you care for women, and yet we don't as a culture. So those are the things that equality of, this hypocrisy of, men can get whatever they need, but women have to constantly fight for it. We got to always stand. So on this day of A Day Without a Woman, it's also about our health care. We have to have the same equality around health care. And because of the birth control and abortion, that's actually based on some ideology about life and Christianity and, whatever that is. But it's like, because of your ideology, you're telling me that you're making me a criminal if I have an abortion.
Yeah, and it's like, who has the right to tell another person, whether you're a woman or a man, what is okay to do with your body, right? I mean, I understand the a lot of Christians are against abortion because you're killing a life and stuff like this. But then there's so many discrepancies about, when is a life started. And people don't want to use a scientific term, and they're looking for the Bible or their religious faith and stuff like this. But once that child is born, if people are not taking care of it, if people are abusing that child, if people are or neglecting that child, wouldn't it be more productive to focus your energy on making sure that the children that are born are taken care of, getting proper education, getting the food they need, getting the care that they deserve, health care, and all of this. Focus your energies on the children that are alive and doing well, and the people who want them, because they will take care of them. Wouldn't that be a better way of approaching it than putting all your energies on abortion rates and telling other people what they can and cannot do? It seems like it's a little backwards in my.
And I think part of that too, and this is just, coming from inside me, I think this is a way, again, to control women. If I tell you you can't have an abortion, and I can come up with all kinds of reasons why you can. It's the same thing with the transgender and bathrooms. If I tell you you can't, you have to go to the bathroom that's on your birth certificate. And how are you going to check for that, people? But let's think of that. It's about not allowing that person to have equality to exist in public places. So again, we're looking at it about controlling. It's about controlling. So it's the same thing. I am in control of you and your body, telling you what you can and cannot do. I'm in control of that. And every time I've noticed this, every time that women start making strides and gaining more and more visibility and more strengths, something comes back down on top of us. We so now it's this, getting rid of Planned Parenthood and getting rid of healthcare and it's about controlling. It's about controlling. It's about tyranny. It's all about that. And women getting an education. It's the same thing. We don't want to educate, now we can, but now they just passed a bill that they want to get rid of the Department of Education and everyone's going to go to vouchers. Well, that's only going to work for people who have money. What about all the single moms who are working for a non-living wage on tips? How are they going to get an education? Again, it's about control. It's about, squashing down. And we don't do anything really in this country, but we're really good about making women always at fault. When they're raped, it's their fault. When they're not being able to take care, it's their fault. Everything is on. We take the blunt of everybody else's issues. Anyway, but it just drives me crazy that as a woman, we still got to fight for. And then when people say, well, fighting for peace is whatever, I'm going, but that's what it feels like. It's a constant battle of having to stand here and saying, no, this is what I need. This is what I want.
Yeah. And I think that as we're going to wrap up today, one of the things that, we can think of, that what is the one thing that we could do as women today to honor, like, the idea of women and a day without women. So there's a lot of movement around there, and there's great. But what else can we do to stand up for ourselves? And for me, one of the things that I think of on a day like today, like I'm wearing red in honor of women's. And so this is, for those who couldn't participate in not going to work or not shopping or not working, whatever, there's other ways. And I think one of the ways is embracing and acknowledging the women in our lives that have done some trailblazing for us. Recognize that some of the women who have gone through the hard pieces in order for us to be able to the successes and have been able to move forward, like the ability to vote, just the fact of being able to go to school and get an education, the ability to, you know, own property and be, because, you know, if you think back, like, women weren't, a lot of times, weren't allowed to even own property on their own and have a credit card, or, you know, a lot of these things. So I want to focus for myself, as a way of recognizing all these movements, is to, you know, men who have done a lot of work for us, and see how I can do my part. My daughters, my stepdaughters, and my granddaughters, you know, them to go for their dreams and not stop because someone else tells them you can't do this, because type of thing. So that would be something that, you know, I would be willing to do, is to encourage other women to live their dreams and not stop because someone said you can't do it. So what about you, Sharona?
And you know what, Claudette, I like the word honor. So one of the things is, how do I honor myself as a woman? How do I do self-care as a woman? And how do I um, honor other women in my life as a woman, and as they, and then because they're women. And I think one of the things is, as you were thinking about this, so there's always been this myth, and I've never seen it, where women can't get along. There's this myth that women are always like attacking each other. And yes, there are bullies out there that are women, and you know, and that's what I'm talking about. I think one of the things is, we need to break that stereotype. We need to break that myth conception about women, because women, actually, one of the things that we do really, really well is that we work really, really well connecting deeply with other women.
Mm.
And so one of the things is a way to honor that, and honor, this is Women's Month. We have, today is International Women's Day, and also a Day Without a Woman. So one of the things is, I think it goes back, is, you know, be grateful that you have really strong, compassionate, respectful women in your life. And if you are in a, you know, and if you don't have a lot of those, your entourage, your village, your tribe, then start looking to find those people, those women that are going to help you and help each other keep going forward. Because a lot of times when we keep going after our dreams, whatever that dream is, like, I would like to see major league, women's baseball. I would like to see teams of all women playing baseball and getting paid as much as men. I would like to see that. Now, is that going to happen? Hell no. But then maybe it will. Maybe not in my lifetime, but maybe it will. You know, but that. So you want to play baseball? You want to go out there and make a living playing baseball? That's your dream. Then you got to find the women and the men who support that as you go forward. And so going after your dreams needs to have the faithful sidekicks with you. So I think honor is a great. How do you honor woman? And I like what you said, Claudette, about, in my way. I will do it in my part, what I can do today and every day as I go forward. So, for instance, Claudette, I would like to honor you here right now for your brilliant, and so well organized mind. You come up with. I'm always amazed how you put things together. I love your creativity. I love seeing you create your articles for Stepmom magazine and your posts. You inspire me a lot, and I am so honored to have you as a friend and as a co-pilot on these episodes. So I just wanted to thank you and applaud your womanness. And if a woman is,
Thank you, Sharona.
you're welcome. And as a woman who would like to go for their dreams and want to stand up for themselves and find their votes. Yes, find your votes and their voice. And they're a stepmom and they're having some struggle. How can they get a hold of you, Claudette?
Well, thank you, Sharona. And so before I answer your question, I just want to say that, you know, I love your personality and your vulnerability, and you are an amazing woman and have helped me throughout this day. So I honor you as a very dear friend and definitely a great co-pilot, co-worker, and I'm glad that we do this together. Thank you.
Ever so
So
welcome.
if you're a stepmom and you feel like you are feeling alone and not appreciated and need help and support in honoring yourself as a stepmom, as a woman, as a mom, whatever you want to feel honored and validated, I would love to talk with you and help you move forward and move towards thriving in your life. You can reach me at Claudette at stepmomcoach.com, and you can follow me on my website, which is stepmomcoach.com. You can also follow me on social media using hashtag stepmomcoach and stepmomwisdom. And, one of the things that we enjoy doing here is sharing these episodes with stepmoms, but Sharona also works with midlife women, and midlife women have different kinds of issues and struggles that are different from stepmom. So Sharona, if there's a midlife woman out there who is feeling that she doesn't feel enough, she's lost, or she's wondering, what are her next steps? How can they get in touch with you?
Thanks, Claudette. And so if you're a midlife woman and you might be experiencing some heavy loss, some loneliness, not loneliness, longing, like you got some dream that still wants to come forward, and maybe you're just feeling lost. You have what the clue, what's next, and you want to find a way to honor yourself while you're going through the transition and transformation of from youngin to elderhood, and you want to feel a sense of honor of who you are and helping you go travel through this. You can reach me at Sharona at midlifewomendancingwithchange.com, hashtag midlifewomen dancingwithchange.com. My website is www.dancingwithchange, midlifewomendancingwithchange.com. You can also find hashtag thriving in the midst of midlife change, hashtag emotional impact, and hashtag emotional wisdom. I'm going to change emotional impact to emotional wisdom. So I got those two things going on. Anyway, too much information. And I would be happy to have a conversation with you. And so on this day of A Day Without a Woman, International Day, Women's Day, thank you all for showing up. If you have any ideas or you want to ask a question, or you just want to say hi, you can make a comment below. Subscribe to Conversations That Matter Most, and you can find, using the hashtag Conversations That Matter Most, you'll find us also on different social media. And so that's about it. And share. We have in previous episodes, we've been doing this over a year now, so there's all kinds of topics we talk about. And I want to thank you all for your time. Again, Claudette, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sharona. Thank you everyone for being here, and we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you subscribe to our channel. And again, have a great, wonderful Women's Day.
Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.